this was something extremely, extremely hard for me, because for the longest time I was trying to do everything and say yes to everything and be everything for everyone in my career. Like I wanted to, go through the entire, I wanted to be a film composer and a music producer and an audio engineer and a songwriter and a folk artist and a rock artist and, and a content creator and a performance coach and just like, a tutor. I was like, and I wanted to be a tutor. And I was promoting local concerts, and I was doing live sound, and I was like creating like networking events for the music scene. So I was literally doing like 20 different things and trying to build a career out of that. And I could never get the ball rolling in any one direction, because I was constantly, as soon as I would get far enough down one road, I'd be pulled like a magnet back to the starting point and going down the other one. And so I'd keep like, I wish I could draw it out, but I'd keep like, if I was in the center of the circle with all these spokes, I could never get down to the edge of the wheel where the success is, because I'm always like slightly in this one, slightly in this one, slightly in this one. And literally what I would go back and tell myself is like, look, it's great to want to do all these things, and saying yes to everything is good for a little bit of time while you find out what you like. But if you can just niche down sooner and find that thing that you can get good at, you're going to be successful, And so like for me, my example of this is like, what is it now? A little over 3 years ago, deciding to go into mixing full time, and then making that transition, and then just like getting really, really good at it. And like I pair music production also with mixing. Like I still take on select artists to do music production for, but I niche down into like studio recordings and getting really good at this one thing. I don't I don't do live sound anymore in the capacity I did. I don't do, creating networking events and organizing like registration lists for like local events. And so like I chose one thing, and if I had spread my attention across everything else, I never would have been able to turn this into like a full-time gig, for example. I was so pulled in so many different directions. And I think the thing to realize is like, look, the reason we're afraid to pick a direction is because we don't want to be stuck in something for our whole lives. Like, let's say you're afraid to go into only sound design. Oh, and that's another thing I want to be, a sound designer. And I literally did sound design jobs too. Just picking one, like you're afraid to go into like, let's say all sound design, because part of your heart like also loves music, and you don't want to go too far that way, because then you fear like you'll lose this other part of yourself. But the thing is, like, it just because you go down this path now, just because I went down mixing now, doesn't mean I'm in mixing forever. Like another thing I want to do is like help other people and teach other people. Like I went down this mixing path like 4 years, in terms of doing it all day, every day, 24/7. So probably, that's over 10 years of like doing it as hobby time, for example, like doing it constantly. Like I've got the experience that I want, and now I'm like pivoting to also teaching, and that's okay. Like I'm not stuck, but you can't actually find success in any one thing if you don't choose. So if it's being an artist, go all in on being an artist. If it's being a producer, go all in on being a producer. And get really good at that thing. And of course, keep those like other parts of you alive. And you can do it in your spare time and stuff. But you're not going to be, it's nearly impossible to be successful in this if you want to do it like seriously, if you don't pick a direction. So like Andrew, for example, like you really liked getting into recording. And of course, like you love performing and you do it as like a hobby and a thing on the side. Like I know you perform and play guitar live and stuff like that. But like you decided, I'm going to get into recording and production. and you were able to spend that time and like master that and get really good at it. But if you were also trying to do a million other things, like become, you know, a Spotify recording artist yourself and like push that brand, like you'd be pulled in so many different directions and you'd only get halfway on each of them. So I would go back in time and I would tell myself, hey, little buddy, look, I know you want to do all this stuff and it's awesome that you're doing it. What are you resonating with right now? What do you like? Like, are there any of these that like which ones are you seeing results in for yourself? Which ones are you not seeing results in for yourself? Like, make a list and drop those other things.
Yep.
Like, literally just drop it, you know?
I 1000% agree with you on that one.
So that's what I would go. I think that's a really valuable thing. And I think you should say yes to a lot of opportunities and stuff like that. But also, at some point, when you want to take it serious, you're going to have to decide and go down a route. At least like narrow down from 20 things to like a couple. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that worked really well for me. So
I agree. I think there's two.
Third.
Yeah, there's two things that I think that kind of like bounce off the back that I just really like is like the rocket analogy. You spend 90% of a rocket's fuel just leaving the Earth's atmosphere, but once it hits orbit, you travel around the Earth at over 1,000 miles an hour and use zero fuel.